I'm just going to wedge the clay, just to get it into an homogeneous mass, rather than, because it tends to firm up on the outside and stay softer on the inside. So I kind of want it all the same consistency. But it's straight out of the bag, this, so it doesn't need very much. I work with different clays, and some of them have a lot of iron in them, and some of them are white firing bodies that don't want to be contaminated with the iron. So I have to keep the processes separate. So at the moment this is a white firing clay, and because at this stage I'm not sure how I'm going to fire it, I want to keep it fairly clean and uncontaminated. So I start by deciding what clay I'm going to be using, which more or less comes down to how I feel. It's like, do I want to be filthy today, or do I want to have a semblance of being clean? Or if I'm working on a run of pots, then I'll follow that run. And I tend to work my way through a complete bag of clay before then deciding whether to continue with that clay or just start with a different clay. And generally, if I try and force a process, I find that it doesn't work. So it is very much almost a physical thing. How do I want the clay to feel in my hands, or how do I want to feel with the clay in my hands today, which I think makes me decide what I'm going to do. Some of the clay I can use for all the different techniques, like this clay is basically designed as a raku firing body, so it withstands thermal shock really well. But it also fires to stoneware and wood fire as well, and saggar fire as well. So, but then I have a wood firing clay body that I buy in, which is better specifically for wood firing and saggar firing, both of which are done at high temperature, the way I saggar fire. And then I have the clays with high iron in them. They don't raku fire quite so well the way I want them to, and so I tend to use those at wood firing, but at a lower, in the cooler part of the kiln. So it also means that I can play with the kiln and have different types of clay and glaze reactions, because there's always a range of temperatures within the mass of the kiln. So it's just making the most of that. So, and it's quite exciting. And recently I've been digging out buckets of local clay, which is available in tiny amounts. And it's very low firing, and it produces quite a nice glaze at high temperature, but also subtle colours of brown and grey and purple at lower temperature. So, and that's exciting. Yeah, that's quite nice doing that. But what the wire cutting does is it opens up the surface after it's been compressed by all the handling, and so that when I stretch it out, it opens out in a more natural, a more kind of slightly more fluid way.